Let's get started with a quick look at the brain. Here's a very basic drawing of your brain from the side. This is where your face would be if you were my model. To begin, we will look at four main parts of our brain's control center in the right hemisphere. First, we have the thalamus, or attachment center, which is located deep within here. Next is the amygdala, or alarm center, which is a tiny almond-shaped spot under here. You might have heard of this before. It's in charge of our fight or flight response. Up next is the cingulate cortex, or as Dr. Jim Wilder calls it, the mental banana. This is our processing center. And last but not least is the PFC, which stands for prefrontal cortex. Technically the orbital prefrontal cortex. It's right here behind your right eye. Those names are important but might be hard to remember, so let's have some fun making sense of it all. To begin, we need to start with the foundation. Here's an ocean floor foundation. I'm going to call this our attachment foundation. It represents our thalamus. In reality, attachment really is the foundation for how our brain works. Down here in the sand, all we really want to know is someone with me? Am I a delight to someone? The thing is, though, this is asked and answered all below the levels of consciousness. Here's some water to represent below consciousness and above consciousness. Seeing it here might help it to be more clear as we continue this lesson. Okay, so if our attachment foundation decides that yes, someone is with me, then our amygdala C is calm and peaceful, like floating along a lazy river, totally relaxed. Life is good. As a matter of fact, that's the question the amygdala C is always asking. We'll dive more into this later. Since the attachment foundation and amygdala C are both satisfied here under the water, we can now move right up above the water to our mental banana boat. Up here, we are able to consciously process our situations and emotions well. Our processing boat likes to make sure that we understand and that we are understood. When this happens, we get access to our captain's wheel. The captain's wheel is for all of us. It's our PFC, and this is where our identity lives. We belong behind this wheel. When we're behind this wheel, we get to put up our flag. This flag gives us access to all the left brain logical resources we need to help us make good decisions and choices while navigating in this sea called life. Now, isn't this just a happy little picture? But what if we had answered some of those questions differently? Let's review our brain's questions. The attachment floor wants to know, is someone with me? Am I a delight to someone? The amygdala C is constantly asking, are things good, bad, or scary? Next, our mental banana boat wants to process everything our body's been feeling based on those responses below, and it wants to know, does anyone understand me? Do I even understand me? And our PFC captain's wheel really just needs to know, who am I? So it can steer us according to the answer. So let's look at what our picture will look like when we change the answers around some. This time, our attachment foundation is going to say, no one's with me, or I'm not a delight to anyone. This means our amygdala C can no longer answer like it did before. When our attachment foundation is answering life this way, the amygdala C looks like this instead. Life is now bad and scary. When life is bad and scary in the amygdala C, this is where we end up stuck. No mental banana boat, no PFC captain's wheel, no flag of left brain logic. We just run constantly beneath the surface with the sharks. And since this is all happening underwater, it's below consciousness. We don't quite know why we're so exhausted, why we're on edge, or why we're having a hard time knowing how to handle our emotions, or how to remember all the great tips our therapist gave us. Sound familiar to anyone? It's amazing to see how much control our below conscious thoughts can impact us in our day-to-day life. Now let's look at one more scenario. This time we have a good attachment foundation, either from our parents or from a securely attached relationship with God or a significant other. Deep down inside, we know that someone is glad to be with us, and we are a delight to someone. Side note, did you know that one of the names for Jesus is Emmanuel? Emmanuel literally means God with us, which means our attachment foundation can always answer, yes, someone is with me. Okay, so with a happy attachment foundation, What happens if our amygdala C still encounters some bad or scary things? What if the sharks still come? With a solid attachment foundation, the amygdala C's bad news doesn't fully overwhelm our system, so we still get access to our mental banana boat. We can still move up to where we can process our situation consciously. Here in the mental banana boat, we can seek understanding. When understanding is attained, our PFC wheel is still accessible, and so is our left brain flag. All of this above conscious success sends a message back to the amygdala C that everything's going to be okay, and the water can calm back down. This is how important our attachment foundation really is. Don't neglect the foundation under your C.